All right, guys. So we're gathered here today to talk about potentially the biggest proposal to come by the SSV network up until today. I'm very excited to introduce you guys to the Ankr team. So today from the Ankr team, we have Filipe and Stanley. From our end, we brought in our experts, Adam and Ben. We'll do the usual process of presenting and talking, but the objective here is really to dive deeper into the world of liquid staking. And there is no better opportunity or no better company to represent that than Ankr. So without further ado, I'd really love for you guys to explain, say a few words about yourself, and then dive deep right into the PPT.
Yeah, sure. So yeah, my name is Filipe. I'm the chief of DeFi of Ankr. So I'm leading the liquid staking strategy of Ankr for a bit more than a year. So I joined after Ankr actually created ETH liquid staking back in December 2020. My background is mostly in finance. So I worked 8 years as a wealth manager, mostly in Switzerland. And yeah, really got very excited about liquid staking in general. As I became a bit more active in the community, yeah, Ankr discovered kind of my Twitter profile, and yeah, then after I resigned from banking, yeah, 2 days later, Ankr made me an offer actually to join the team, and yeah, it's been really exciting journey since then.
Okay, cool. My name is Stanley. I'm the CTO and co-founder of Ankr, Ankr.com. So I and the other two co-founders started this company in early 2018. So majorly, before that, I have 12-year experience at Amazon AWS. So we started this company focused on the infrastructure service of the blockchains, and that's why we have a lot of service, like a basic service like the API service, RPC service, and also liquidity staking is one of our most important product in terms of infrastructure in DeFi. So today, and also we expand to chain as a service and also the game, blockchain game. And today, I think we will propose our solutions to SSV and see and show you guys a awesome solutions we can be collaborate and build together to this to our users. Yes.
That was a great introduction. So obviously, Ankr, you guys do a lot of tools, a lot of different offerings, a lot of different services for different types of clientele. Just to give some reference, today's going to be focused on the liquid staking side of things. Besides that, Filipe, would love for you guys to dive right in.
Yeah, sure. So as you mentioned, so we're not just like a liquid staking provider, even though we were like the first ones to go to market in December 2020. We're like a Web3 infrastructure provider, and this is like the different product lines kind of that we have is the RPC node network, where here the main objective is to decentralize the node infrastructure and make sure that developers can build from a network of decentralized RPC nodes, which increases latency, increases decentralization and reliability mostly. We built then on top of those RPC nodes our enhanced API. So we used to have like let's say a centralized version of our blockchain API. And yeah, then we decided to kind of do the step back and we focus on decentralizing the nodes to kind of rebuild our enhanced API. So in those two cases, the Ankr token is being used as a utility token to monetize your node infrastructure if you're an RPC node provider, and if you're an RPC node consumer or API call consumer, then you pay as a pay-as-you-go model in Ankr token instead of being stuck into some subscription plan. Yeah, that leads you to oversubscription because you're never using the full capacity of your subscription usually. Then recently, we also added the gaming SDK. We have Ankr Scan as well. It's a multi-chain blockchain explorer. The app chains is the most recent innovation that we have. where we help projects to basically offer the full package, and we help them to deploy their own sidechains. So we personally believe that games and having like Web2 companies with a lot of users to help them move into Web3 and create their own sidechain is something that is very exciting, and probably the next wave of adoption for DeFi in general and Web3. And liquid staking, where since the creation of ETH liquid staking, we expanded to other chains, mostly BNB, Matic, Avalanche, Phantom, but we also have Polkadot and Kusama. Beyond that, we also have an Ankr bridge. So we built it ourselves, so we can offer a multi-chain liquid staking experience as well. So it means that we can, in a scalable way, bring ETH SSV liquid staking potentially in the near future to other chains that we support. So currently we have ETH liquid staking on a BNB chain, for example, and we're like ready to deploy to Matic and other chains if we see the demand. Obviously, then there is other DeFi considerations about liquidity pool, incentives, and so on. So that's why we didn't deploy everywhere immediately, but we're trying to do it in a way where we deploy where we see the demand. And also the staking SDK, where we're trying to improve the experience for integrators, because we believe a lot in CDFI, and we believe that liquid staking can be more than just providing liquidity to liquid staking. It can be more than enable DeFi composability on ETH, but ultimately it can become a liquid and easy to integrate platform in itself. So it's about bringing a DeFi product into CeFi to help then the next wave of users to benefit from proof of stake staking without necessarily having them to interact directly with DeFi platforms. In terms of community, we also have a large size, and the project is also listed in the most major exchanges. So I think for SSV, that it's also very interesting for us, because you have a rather, I imagine, technical type of community, and since we are also focused on developers for our RPC tools and everything, I think this is a very interesting type of audience, and that can also be relevant for SSV as well. And just wanted to maybe give a small step back for the audience related to the evolution of liquid staking and how Ankr kind of positioned itself through that cycle. And so, as I said before, December 2020, we created liquid staking, and here the main rationale was about providing liquidity for staked ETH. When I joined Ankr, then the next wave, it was about, okay, let's bring liquid staking to other chains. So here the rationale, it became more about solving the capital inefficiency of proof of stake, unlock DeFi composability, became a much more important rationale than just the liquidity aspect that is very specific for Ethereum. And also about the redeemable liquid staking token feature. So basically, when you are on, let's say, BNB or post-merge for Ethereum, basically the supply of liquid staking tokens becomes elastic. It can increase, but it can also shrink as there is people that unstake and they redeem their liquid staking token. So that the elasticity of the supply is very important for its price stability. But before merge, right, for the moment, we're relying a lot on the size of the liquidity pools to ensure its price stability, right? So ideally, you need to have a lot of incentives or very large liquidity pools, and very likely both, to make sure that the price stability of Ethereum liquid staking is as close as possible to the peg. But post-merge, that paradigm is going to shift, where it's no longer going to be dependent so much on farming rewards and huge liquidity pools, right? Because whenever there is a discount for ETH liquid staking, you will have the possibility to just redeem it to the liquid staking, protocol, so Ankr in our case, and you unstake, you receive the redemption value back, and that allows you to lock in, that profit if you bought at a discount. Obviously, you need to wait some time, but that gives very interesting trading opportunities that will provide a new type of price stability for liquid staking, and this is what we've been experimenting right now, very hands-on on other chains, and we really hope that we can also kind of bring that know-how post-merge for Ethereum community as well. The third phase was, let's make liquid staking multi-chain. So thanks to the Ankr bridge. So we actually had to do that because of Matic liquid staking, because staking Matic actually happens on Ethereum instead of Polygon. So that was a very interesting challenge for us to be able to solve that problem in a scalable way, which is probably one of the main differentiators that we have when compared to competitors, is that every liquid staking that we did it in-house, and they all have a different design. And every time that we try to solve those problems, we try to do it in a scalable way, right? Instead of kind of outsourcing it with other teams. So that's one of the main reasons why we decided to create our own bridge, and also to support our rebase token for liquid staking. And the fourth phase is really then to focus until the end of the year for the staking SDK. So it's to improve the functionalities on that side, and Ankr SSV as well. So for Ankr SSV, I think the main difference and the main reason why we want to partner with SSV is actually in terms of infrastructure. We do have a similar infrastructure where we also had initially permissionless nodes, even though we blocked the access to it because our liquid staking token has been trading at a discount. So there is kind of no point to staking. So we should not have theoretically more people staking. They should rather buy on a DEX at the discount. So we decided to limit the access for now. Both are non-custodial. The minimum stake is rather low and it's decentralized. But the main difference is about being trustless or not. So I think what the work that SSV has been doing is really phenomenal, and huge amount of research and testing into making ETH staking trustless. And since we are, focusing on a lot of infrastructure tools, we cannot, focus on every single thing. So we believe that that partnership will make a lot of sense. But at the same time, I think there is still, the possibility to, at least in the beginning, right, depending on how it goes on your side, to keep the existing version of ETH liquid staking. And then, when the merge will be over, and if SSV works perfectly, then we're pretty much open to potentially shift completely to Ankr SSV ETH liquid staking. If in a technical point of view everything works fine. But yeah, that's the biggest difference, is really to partner with SSV to enable trustless, ETH liquid staking. That's one of the main reasons. So in terms of
for a second, I'm sorry to stop you in your flow, but I would love it if you can maybe elaborate a bit about what does it actually mean to go from something that is less trustless or not trustless and something that is SSV based, which is trustless. What is the exact distinction? Because it seems to be one of the main key selling points in this technology for you guys.
Yeah, sure. So I think when we approach, for example, institutional investors or other partners, yeah, there is always that sense of that there is an additional risk layer, that Ankr itself is like an additional risk layer, and there is some dependency on Ankr and who owns the keys and everything. And despite the fact that we do threshold signature and so on like everybody else, there is obviously a sentiment of trust that is needed for Ankr itself. You need to you need to basically trust Ankr if you want to use ETH liquid staking from Ankr. With the trustless system, there is really that guarantee that's like there is basically that decentralized system where even if you don't necessarily trust Ankr, you can still use that product, because even if we try to behave in a way that will be unexpectedly bad or anything like that, that kind of situation will basically not happen with the trustless system, because everything will be designed in a way that is trustless. Stanley, I'm not sure if there is anything you would like to add on that one.
Yeah, basically, I think it's about the key management. So at Ankr for Ankr ETH, basically, yes, we do have the BLS threshold signature as well. But although we save it decentralized ways, but it's still Ankr systems. And to our customers or institutional client, they will always ask, okay, Ankr, can we trust you guys? And since you guys are holding all the keys. But here's, I think what we trying to introduce is like to distribute the keys among different server or different vendors, and to provide extra decentralizations to our key management. I think this is the major difference over here. And also, we do not trying to, hold or copy up the key at these times, and also to provide the signature service. I think the trustless here means more providers or more partners to holding the keys in this situation.
If you guys don't mind, I have before you continue a follow-up question, and it's more, let's take it from the theoretical or marketing perspective of things. You guys are doing offering a lot of different services for different companies, using you for different or under different capacities. I'm just wondering, the decision to go completely trustless or permissionless, if you will, must have come as a result of either people asking you to do it, or you guys identifying permissionless is the next big thing. I'm trying to understand how you decided to prioritize this over other things, assuming that you're going for the helping the Web 2 clients on board to Web 3. So I'm just wondering where the permissionless aspect of things come into play for you guys or for your users.
I think generally speaking, it comes from our guys. Our philosophy is trying to build a trustless or a systems everybody can enter. But as you mentioned, we have different kind of client, like the community client, our customers, and also enterprise client customers. So basically, I have to say different customer require different SLA and different service level. So for that kind of the situations, we might provide different solutions for different providers. However, for different clients. However, I think the basic idea or concept in our technology is still the same systems, but but for the institutional users, we may have some enhanced, mechanism to improve the SLA to them. One example is our RPC service. So for the community member, everybody can join, everybody can use the service we provide. However, in order to meet, so for example, 99.99% uptimes of the RPC service, for the institutional users, we provide, the private node to have the extra load balancer for them and to provide the extra, safetiness to our service. The same idea for here as well. So this is not purely from the customer. I will say it's from the first day when Ankr designed its systems.
Great answer, thank you. I'll let you guys continue so I don't stop your train of thought. I might have more questions in a few minutes. I'm just letting you know now. But thanks for the answer.
Yeah. Also to follow up on what Stanley said, originally we also had like a centralized blockchain API, like most other providers, and we didn't hesitate to really kind of shift completely into a different product, which causes, some certain level of what we call in business like cannibalization, right? Where you have like a version 1 of a product and a version 2 of a product that is fundamentally different and is going to compete with the old one, and you try to manage that transition. So we did that, right? When with the enhanced API is basically cannibalized, our centralized blockchain API, that was using like an email to use it with like a subscription and with a credit card and everything. And now we like moved into a fully Web3 experience. So, that this is something that we're already familiar with. And yeah, if that solution, works better, we're definitely very open to do that, since we already did that in the past with other product lines. Okay, so in terms of roadmap, so our proposal, it will be that by the end of Q3, so end of September, to launch the first version of Ankr SSV ETH reward bearing liquid staking token on testnet, and then at so hopefully if everything goes fine with the merge and with the ability to also redraw ETH, stake ETH, so by the end of the year, hopefully also the mainnet launch. And we propose also to maybe a little bit later, depending on the demand, to enable also the reward earning version of liquid staking. So we basically have like two versions, reward bearing and reward earning. Reward earning is a rebase token, so its value is always 1-to-1, and you receive the staking rewards through rebase, whereas the reward bearing version has a ratio which grows over time. So that version of reward bearing is actually much easier to integrate into DeFi platforms. So it will be much easier to create liquidity pool and vaults and lending and everything. Rebase tokens are usually only supported by Curve. Also subtly, but there is some technical implementation that is required, but they're not on Ethereum, so it's not really relevant. All other DEXs, they do not support rebase tokens to our knowledge. So providing liquidity there, you will just be losing the staking rewards, which is not very good. However, yeah, there is still potentially, demand from the community, and if the demand will be there, then we will be open to also add this one. So I think in terms of Q&A, there is, that's maybe willingness to know what is our opinion of what is our vision, about what's going to happen with, after the ETH merge. And I thought that having that formula is kind of maybe an original way to basically like explain, our vision related to it. So I think the key here that we're willing to convey related to what's going to happen after the ETH merge, in our opinion, is that first, it's important to understand that actually, yeah, I might show here the staking ratio of most chains, right? Ethereum is one of the lowest. Why? Because you cannot unstake ETH. So it has a higher liquidity risk to stake on ETH because of your unbundling period is pretty much unknown. Obviously, when this is going to change, the liquidity risk of staking is going to reduce, right, significantly when compared to other chains. So that's why we believe that not necessarily immediately after the merge, but when everything stabilizes, we believe that the ETH staking APR should typically be lower than it is now, just because it has less liquidity risk. At the same time, we do know that the rewards are going to increase because the block subsidy is going to be distributed not only to the miners, but also to the validators, and there is the possibility to get the tip fee on top. So the revenues are also going to increase. So if we know that the ETH staking APR should decrease and the rewards are increasing, well, the amount of ETH staked should increase even more, right, to match that equation. And that's why we believe that we will see actually the staking ratio of Ethereum that will probably significantly increase when compared to the current level of 10.5%. And it should be closer to the peers, like other chains, like such as Polygon is maybe the closest one, is about 33% staking ratio, I think, 31 from the data that we collected here. And then move towards, potentially even 50%, who knows? But we definitely believe that when the situation stabilizes, there will be more staked ETH in terms of the staking ratio than the moment that we have now. Right after the merge, we do not exclude the possibility that some people will like to unstake, and that might drop a little bit. But when the situation stabilizes, that's basically the scenario that we're thinking about, and that's why we're really excited about that ETH SSV ETH liquid staking partnership, because we really want to contribute and participate in the next wave of growth for staked ETH, and we would want to participate in the best conditions by using like the best technology available at that point.
I have a question, a quick one, if you don't mind me stopping you there. Really quick, sort of on a again, sorry, I see you guys smiling. I'm sorry for interrupting you, but do you guys seeing more value being captured from more users coming in to stake ETH, or from the eventual bridge that you guys will offer them, moving that staked ETH to other chains or otherwise? Do you understand if that question makes sense?
Yes,
Mhm.
I can answer first, then Philip can, can add something more about the insights about it. So I think the ETH stake after the merge should significantly larger than its current status, since the unstake will be available, so people feel less risky for the staking purpose of Ethereum. So just for that reason, although as the equation shows up by Philip, although the rewards will be higher because the block subsidized, but the amount, but if you look at the ETH, reward curve, so since the number of the ETH into the staking pool is much larger, so eventually the APR will goes down. But generally answer your questions, the direct staking from Ethereum, in our projections, it should be much larger, and it should be outweigh the bridge we build. People can convert the ETH from the other blockchains. Yes.
Awesome,
I
great.
think also, I think as well, like the Ankr bridge is also kind of part of what we believe for the ecosystem, is really to enable like a cross-chain staking experience. So we will love to see people like on Polygon, maybe their first experience in DeFi is on Polygon, and we would like to give them the possibility to just stake their ETH on Polygon, but on Polygon, instead of using
Yeah.
even the bridge itself. So that's kind of an intermediary step for us, the Ankr bridge, to enable that kind of experience. And I strongly believe that like in 1 year's time, there will be new DeFi users that, or even maybe users that do not necessarily interact directly with DeFi, that will stake ETH, and we want to make that experience as frictionless as possible.
Great answer. Now, the reason why I was asking is because when your head's down into Ethereum and you read every word that Vitalik says like it's the Bible, then when he says staking is going to be done just on Ethereum, and he disregards the bridges for the time being, it's always very nice to hear that people have a different view to him.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And I mean, and I think we will see products as well, right? That will build up. I think it's truly amazing, the possibility to enable that kind of cross-chain stream of yield, because like ultimately, what is the biggest yield? What is the biggest source of crypto yield that we have, in the market? It's from proof of stake. Proof of stake has about, I think, around 40 billion of staked assets overall. It's like a huge source. That's just the staking rewards per year, right? That are enabled, and that's a huge amount. And this is not something that is fully being captured by DeFi, because most of it is kind of stuck outside of DeFi, and there is no DeFi composability, happening. So as liquid staking adoption increases and we enable, cross-chain liquid staking as well, we believe that we will see other like DeFi applications that will want to exploit those yields, right? And maybe you're building something on Polygon, but you might want to access, ETH staking rewards, or maybe BNB staking rewards, or Avalanche, even though you can yourself be multi-chain, but maybe your users, they just want to use Polygon eventually, so why not give them products from other chains to the chain that they prefer the most? Why not? If there is any discrepancy, that gives a cross-chain arbitrage opportunity, right? So we believe that making that ecosystem much more frictionless is very important. And I mean, I use that analogy very often internally, that bridges are like intermediary banks, right? But when you travel internationally, you don't want to interact with the intermediary bank directly, right? You just want to have US dollars, euros, Swiss francs, whatever available. It doesn't matter where you're from and in which bank you are. So yeah, I think that's the type of experience that we hope to see in the future.
Great analogy, by the way. I might use it. Thanks for answering.
Yeah, so it was actually our last slide. So maybe you guys have like other questions.
So I did interrupt this time. This time was okay when I was asking. Okay, good. It's a great change for me. All right, I'll let Ben ask some questions. I'll be quiet for a little while.
Awesome. Thank you very much for the brilliant talk so far. So just for the community, to let them know that everyone can look at your proposal. It's on the SSV forum and on the new Notion page, so you can have a look. I obviously had a look on the proposal, and I came up with a few questions in regards to the various ways of staking you mentioned in the proposal. So actually you mentioned a micropool staking option and the option to become a node provider. So can you please elaborate a little bit more on how a user would pick one of the options over the other?
Yes, so basically, this is what we provide at this moment right now. So I will says at Ankr, the current liquid stakings, you can have the staker and you can have provider. So basically, the provider will. I'm just talking about the model we have so far. It's not necessarily the same as SSV. Just give you guys the background. So currently at Ankr liquid staking of Ethereum, you can be staker, you can be provider. The provider basically is the participant who know how to maintain a program or long run process using their own hardware or using cloud service, and to maintain it for a fairly long amount of times in exchange for reward. This is the way we provide more distributions and the more participant within our product. So basically, the provider will download a piece of software from Ankr, which we call sidechains. The sidechains, well, basically it's Ethereum 2.0 client, and they will sync the beacon chain to the latest height, and also start to validate the staking pools we provide. And we also at Ankr side, we offer remote signature service. So basically, the provider run this piece of software, and this software will contact Ankr servers and have the remote signings. With the remote signing, we allow the distributions of the micropools. Actually, it's the words we use for staking pool within our system. If this validator if this provider is down, we can automatically shift or reallocate the signing service to the other providers. So this staking pools can be validated by the other provider. But generally speaking, this is our idea to improve the stabilities for our staking service. However, you can see the remote signing is not that reliable, to be honest, as you can have the key on your local basis, on your local servers. So I think we are trying to find the balance between the stability, reliability, and also the max reward. But generally speaking, this is the staker and the provider on Ankr side.
That's a great answer. Thank you very much. Maybe a quick follow-up question. For me, it was, at least for me, it was a bit quick in regards to the liquidity tokens you want to introduce. So in the proposal, again, you mentioned two tokens. One was the AS-ETH-B, and the other one was the AS-ETH-C. So I think that it might be a bit hard for some people to link that to the different options you guys offer. I think it's related to the bearing and the earning part you mentioned before, but maybe you can quickly recap a little bit on those both token options going forward.
Yeah, sure. So the B actually stands for a bond, and a bond, you receive a coupon. So that's what we call like the rebase token. So it's basically, you just hold that liquid staking token on your wallet, it rebases, and the amount of liquid staking tokens you have on your wallet, they increase. and that's kind of having a daily coupon, right? Ultimately, kind of, and the C version, it stands actually for originally certificate, where here in a certificate, there is very custom ways to enable, the coupon distribution, and you don't necessarily need to have a coupon. So the reward bearing version, it just has that staking ratio where, yeah, if you deposit one today, actually in December 2020, if you will have deposited so 1 ETH, and now you would like to unstake, if the merge will already happen, you will receive back 1.07 ETH. So you basically accrued, right, 0.07, so 7% of the staking rewards, since that time. So, but the ratio is very important, because if you would like to stake now, we need to make sure that you're not diluting the existing stakers. So you need to stake at a higher price, right? So you can perceive it as like the redemption price, right? So you need to stake at the redemption price, and when you unstake, you receive the same, but over time, because it is increasing the redemption price, well, this is how you basically get access to your rewards.
Okay, that makes sense. Thank you very much for the explanation. Thanks.
The idea is actually very, very similar to mutual fund. So that's basically how we design our product.
Mhm.
So I do have additional questions. I didn't say all of them were over. I just want to go back. I'll go back to what Ben was just asking about, because I think this is potentially the most innovative part or thing that we haven't, or our community hasn't been exposed to quite yet. And that's connecting something that is technically an infrastructure like SSV with obviously foundations for DeFi or liquid staking or additional tools. But we focus on our neck of the woods. So it's very, very refreshing to hear how you can bridge it out, connect it to different things. So obviously I look forward to hearing more about that. I do want to know, if I take a step back, sort of, who are you guys targeting? Who's your go-to client when you're talking about liquid staking for SSV and Ankr?
Basically, I think we're still targeting the community users. If they want to, stake ETH and don't want to manage the micro pool or staking pool themselves, Ankr SSV pool, Ankr SSV ETH is another option they can choose. And also we see a articles a while ago, like the suggested share of the ETH staking is basically like 15 or 17-ish or 18-ish per provider. I think this could be one of the provider we also offer for the space. So basically, by this way, we can also, enlarge the pool of our ETH staking. So for example, Ankr can get 18, SSV can get 18, and the joint effort here can get extra 18. I think this is another way. And for the technical point of view, I think the major difference between Ankr or Ankr SSV is that how we manage the thresholding keys. And so basically for Ankr SSV, we will ourselves, Ankr will maintain, we're trying to maintain 2 SSV operators, and also choose the other 2 operators, SSV operator from the community. So basically we will create thresholding key 3 of 4, and the Ankr maintain 2 copy, and the community maintain extra 2 copy. Both sides cannot fully or solely recover the key, but we need to still rely on each other to be able to perform the validation process. I think, and also that is the foundation of course, the ASETHC and ASETHBs. But generally speaking, this is the whole idea of these proposals to SSV.
I will also say that potentially in the future, if everything goes fine, the fact to kind of outsource, really the node part to SSV, it allows us to explore other opportunities. So one opportunity, for example, is maybe that threshold signature mechanism that Stanley proposed is not enough, and maybe an institutional investor will like to have full control of the keys. So I think like creating like white label liquid staking, for example, I think it will make a lot of sense as a Web3 infrastructure provider as well. And that's a potential evolution that we will, love to have, let's say, the free time to think about and explore those opportunities while relying on a technical partner that can really manage the nodes, in a very good way.
Yeah. The solution can be, still have the community versions and the institutional versions. So like for institutional, they can have all copy of 4 valid operators, or we can hold 2 and the institutional client can hold the extra 2, or things like that.
Yeah. So no risk of cannibalizing, like you mentioned before, in the sense, that makes sense. By the way, it's just something about us. When we got started with the whole theory behind SSV, we asked ourselves, obviously the first use case that came to mind, or one of the first use cases, was liquidity staking pools, whatever you want to call it. And we thought to ourselves that if each one of us, instead of having to look at the entire tech stack and having to, piece by piece, component by component, stack it up, make sure it's all secure, make sure it's all working. If we could just focus on one piece of the stack and not have to go through the entire stack and let someone else focus on a different piece, and eventually, we all could benefit from it. So it's really exciting for me to see how we, look down, focus on the infrastructure, and then you guys let us focus on the infrastructure, and you start building on top of it. So it's really exciting for me to see this coming into fruition. Very cool.
And also our experience with other chains, which are like delegated proof of stake or proof of stake authority. It's kind of similar, right? Where you have validators, and we're not, our main business is not being a validator. So our goal as a liquid staking provider on other chains is to delegate 2 validator nodes that we find reliable. So we're kind of relying only on the liquid staking stack and not necessarily on the validator stack, right? So here we're trying also to achieve a similar level, a similar framework, with Ankr SSV, where we can just basically select, the other node providers and delegate that part to just focus on the liquid staking stack, as you mentioned.
Great. That's exactly what I was referring to. Especially going for the fact that you guys are touching so many different blockchains. Moving more towards the idea of a bridge rather than building validator infrastructure for 5, 6, 8 different blockchains makes a whole lot of sense to me. That's it. This was the last question from my end. If anyone else has a question, this is the time. Promise no more questions from me.
I'm good, guys. Thank you.
Adam, Ariel, anyone else?
Nothing from me. Appreciate your time. Super interesting, and I'm excited to see, your solution, your app rolling out on the network. Could be super interesting to see what comes out of it.
Definitely. I can see
Great
Maddie
work.
smiling over there. Yeah, he's even more excited than you guys, I think. But
Maddie is always smiling. Because he's drunk all the time. That's the reason.
This is being recorded, by the way. I'm not cutting this piece out. All right, guys. Thank you so much for everything. We'll make sure to follow up with you guys. Make sure to send the updates to the community. The video should be edited in a few days. We would love to schedule a follow-up call with you guys in a few months from today to see where you guys stand, what was built, something you can show the community. I'm sure they would love to see it. Thank you so much again for making the time, Stanley and Filipe. I appreciate it. And we'll talk soon.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Have a good day.
Thank you,
everyone.
Bye, guys. Thank you.
Bye.